Hello and welcome to Creature Club. It's a monthly podcast all about Dungeons and Dragons. Every month we take one entry from the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. We break it down in detail. We talk about its history in the real world, if that exists. We talk about its history in previous editions of the game, and then we talk about how we might use it. I am one of your hosts, Daniel, and I am joined by both of my co-hosts, Mikey.
Hello.
And Tim.
That's me.
Guys, I've been to the intro twice. I'm very sorry.
I'm shocked. I honestly didn't think it was possible that you might make a mistake, Daniel.
I didn't think it was possible.
We sent you to podcast hosting college for like 5 years, and we spent like €1 million on each semester. I don't know, like
what's going on, Dan?
I don't know what to say.
Dan, are you feeling all right?
I am a wastrel. I didn't go to any of my lectures.
Very good, very good.
But you still got the degree at the other end.
Yeah.
Yes, because everyone in podcasting college is corrupt.
And all they needed was a couple million euro.
If there actually was a podcasting college, I'd be like, wow, shots fired. But I don't think there is.
Oh my god, he's taking this fictional college to task.
God. We'll take them to court next.
Boys, what are we talking about this month?
I don't know.
What am I like, eh? Me and my periods of time.
I know, yeah.
Week, month.
This time on Creature Club Podcasts, we are talking about the Fomorian.
What's that?
The Fomorian is a very ugly giant.
Wow.
Like, super ugly.
Well, you say that, Mikey.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
In the history of the Fomorians, I know I just asked you what is a Fomorian, and now I'm about to tread on whatever you were saying.
I feel like you set me up with that one there, Tim. You just kind of like,
it's true.
I'm getting ready to school this guy.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what a Fomorian is? Could you tell me? You're wrong.
It's basically it, man. Jeez. All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. You did your research.
I did a bit, all right. So the Fomorians are a mythological creature from Irish history, the Fomorig, or the Fomorians. Their name has apparently been disputed as to what exactly it means. It may just have been like a made-up word. But if you kind of break it down, you can get some semblance of what it's about, because the word Fomorian, the Fomorig, can mean beneath, or like when used as a prefix, it usually means like sub or beneath. But the more can be a lot of different things, especially in like later translations and like reinterpretations of the characters, because ma is like first person singular, which is probably not it. It's like my, basically.
Yes, yeah.
But it can also mean like big, more.
Yes, I was thinking that immediately, yeah.
Or the sea, which is muir. So they are either under big or under the sea.
Oh, interesting.
And in some of their earlier descriptions, they are considered to be monsters that came out of the sea, who fought the Tuatha Dé Danann.
Yes.
The old Irish mythological figures who were followers of the god of Danann, who is a different figure that is also kind of shrouded in mystery, but also is definitely just a made-up thing. Like most things in mythology, but I love it. Anyway.
It's still very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but the Fomorians were the people who basically oppressed the Tuatha Dé Danann after the Tuatha Dé Danann took Ireland and settled it. And then the Fomorians came from the sea, or they might have come from the earth, basically, and oppressed them. They subdued them, and the Tuatha Dé Danann fought them and basically reclaimed Ireland in the name of the Tuatha Dé Danann. And so that's where some of our original pantheon of gods come from in the Celtic, pagan, Irish mythology.
Yes.
But they are described very broadly. Like, I think the earlier descriptions of them were, as you said, Mikey, they were terribly ugly, disgusting creatures that were just these huge, monstrous creatures that were able to suppress the Tuatha Danann, who were mythologically powerful in their own right. Like, they were basically gods, or they were followers of a god and had some godlike powers.
They're sort of demigods, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Similar to like Grecian heroes and Roman heroes, I imagine.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought of as like, like they're similar to like Perseus and Heracles in that they're like, superhumanly powerful, but kind of more mortal than the gods.
Mm-hmm. Some of the gods in the like Roman pantheon were influenced by some of the earlier Celtic mythological figures. Like Lu.
Oh, yeah.
Has a Roman equivalent and Greek equivalent, yes. I think, as well.
I think so, yeah.
But Lu is famously, I think he is one of the ones to have finally been, like, put the last nail in the coffin for the Fomorians. He's a very powerful character that I don't remember much about right now. Shamefully.
That's fine. Am I correct in remembering that I think, obviously, in the context of D&D, a Balor is a fiend, but is Balor in mythology a Fomorian?
So Balor, yes, absolutely. Balor was the leader of the Fomorians who suppressed the Tuatha Danann. He was the biggest and the strongest, and he had some weird powers. If you go back to our episode about the Balor from yonks ago,
in the way back before
times, we do actually talk about Balor and his weird powers with his big, super destructive eye. So he might have been a Cyclops.
And his weird powers.
Yeah, and his bizarre powers. But yeah, the earlier ones were described as ugly and terrible and giant. But in other iterations of the stories of the battles that that were written about the Tuatha Danann in the kind of later ones, they are described as having kind of crossbred into the Tuatha Danann. So more descriptions of them were like these kind of dark-skinned, beautiful demigod-like people. Like they looked like the kind of Hercules or the Heracles. And,
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a very broad breadth of descriptions throughout their kind of written history, which is fascinating. They're a really cool, made-up thing that is just like fascinating because it evolves so consistently. Well, I suppose inconsistent. Nothing in Irish mythology is consistent.
No. Yeah, of course. And it's also tied up in like, I suppose the interesting thing about it is like, it's also tied up in like prehistoric, like oral tradition and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how it gets changed up.
Yeah. And obviously there was Omic, there was like writing back then, but like it just wasn't as common.
Yeah, you wouldn't write an entire book in
no, God no, you'd like write like the hills that way,
a word or two.
Yeah, the river is in this direction.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if anyone wants a blast from the past, but do you want to guess when our Balor episode was?
Oh God, Mikey,
I'm gonna guess 5 years ago.
Before the podcast started.
I forgot. I have no idea when the podcast started. We did it I don't know, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, Tim?
Probably, since we did Dragons was 2019. Or no, 2020 was the year of the dragon. It's probably just a little bit before then. So I would say July 2019.
So July 2019, and Mikey says 2 years ago, so 2020.
Yeah.
You're both wrong. It was November 2018. Creature Club episode 31, Demons Part 1.
Wow.
There you go.
What am I doing with my life?
A good time.
Well, earlier we were drawing Shrek together, and now we're making a podcast.
It wasn't Shrek, it was Borat.
Sorry, it was Borat, you're right. He was too hench to be Shrek.
No one's going to get this.
Yeah, this is going to be weird to edit around.
Oh, man.
Unless we just post our picture, we screenshot it. So.
Well, yeah, it's now saved forever.
That's true, yeah. That's cool, though. Tim, thank you very much for telling us all that.
Yeah, no bother.
So I guess I said it's an ugly giant thing because in terms of D&D, that's basically it. And that's kind of what they were like for most of it. What it seems like anyway. But Dan, do you have anything to say on them, in the history of them in D&D and what they were like?
Yeah, I do. So they are another monster that is from first edition, and they are basically unchanged. They seem to match with, as you say, Tim, kind of the initial description of the Fomorians as sort of blighted and ugly creatures. The first time they appear is Monster Manual 2, which is the beginning of a kind of an interesting tradition where they show up in the second Monster Manual in first edition And then the second Monstrous Compendium in 2nd edition, and then Monster Manual 2 in 3rd edition, before finally getting promoted to Monster Manual 1 in 4th edition.
Hell yeah.
Between each of those editions, they've been almost exactly the same. The biggest change, from what I can tell, is early on there's a very interesting rule where it says that because they have unusual shapes, because they are sort of deformed and they've got like eyes and ears in unexpected places, they can't be surprised by normal means. Because if you think you're sneaking up on a creature, it's actually able to hear you coming or see you coming. And they keep that rule up until, I think, 3rd edition. They get a sort of a slight bonus to not being jumped. And they do also have a very interesting thing where it says that for some reason they're really sneaky. But it also mentions that because of the fact that they're hunchbacked, they don't throw rocks, which is sort of which would be otherwise a typical ability of a giant. And instead they rely on being I think it basically says their strategy is to sneak up behind you and hit you over the head, which they're surprisingly good at, which I appreciate in its directness. And that's it. Other than that, they haven't changed. The biggest change is 4th edition, which, because it came up with 2 Fomorians. It has the Fomorian warrior, who's kind of a very typical version. It's like a big, creature that's it's got its evil eye, it's got its mace, and then it's got one called the Pain Bringer, which is about making you pain.
Oh no!
I am the pain bringer. I bring you pain.
Basically, yeah. And that's it. And then we get into 5th edition, and it's effectively got all of the same abilities. I think the biggest change is probably the fact that it didn't actually get the evil eye power that we see listed here in 5th edition until 4th edition. That was when it was granted this ability. Before then, it was kind of just a creature with a big club.
By the little bit of research I did, because I couldn't really find much on what people think about this, so I kind of did a bit of your job as well, Dan. But it seems like 4th edition, in terms of lore, kind of went with the civilization of them a little bit, like kind of something quite similar to the actual real world of Irish mythology there. But beforehand, they were just, like, as you said, a creature with a club, and that's it,
Yeah, it just said before, like, oh, they're, hideous. It says Fomorians are the most hideous, deformed, and wicked of all giant kin.
Yeah.
And that was all we knew. And yeah, as you say, in 4th edition, they got their own home. It says here in the 4th edition book that they live in the Underdark of the Feywild, which later on gets referred to as the Feydark, which is extremely lame.
Wow.
The Feydark.
It's like they're trying to make a new thing, It's not the Feywild, it's the Feydark.
Ooh. But yeah, as you say, that's when they got a bit of lore. And obviously, like, as you say, Tim, if foe is to do with under, then the fact that they are in the Underdark of the Feywild at least does relate to that idea of them being sort of subterranean creatures.
Yeah.
Before then, it says that they did live in subterranean environments. They could, because they tended to prefer the dark, but they didn't have any specific connection to it, whereas this gives them more of a tangible link to that.
Right. I went back into the different editions to look at their illustrations, and I've posted the 2nd edition one into our studio prompter, and he just looks like kind of a happy guy, just waving at us. He looks like kind of a Shrek, but he's just like, "Hey guys, hello." He's just like, "Hey."
Yeah, very Shrek adjacent. But like,
he is definitely smiling, which is unusual. The rest of them all look kind of grumpy and like
kind of mad.
Oh, I'm upset, and then that one's just having a laugh.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I join your party?
Yeah, sure. And he joins your party, and he's your friend now.
Yeah, you're friends with a Fomorian.
Would you like me to read?
I would love that, honestly.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Let's do it. Fomorian, the most hideous and wicked of all giant kind, are the godless Fomorians, whose deformed bodies reflect their vile demeanors. Some have facial features randomly distributed around their misshapen, warty heads. Others have limbs of grossly different sizes and shapes, or emit terrible howls each time they draw breath through misshapen mouths. Their wretched appearance rarely evokes sympathy. However, for the Fomorians brought their doom upon themselves with the evil rules their hearts and minds. What is that? Okay. What?
That's a weird one.
That's a weird sentence.
They should have a full stop after sympathy.
No, only run-on sentences.
Yes.
That's the only run-on sentences. Prone deficiency. We don't do full stops and just making. God. You can't just make one point for some reason. It's not like this is a book that costs a lot of money or anything.
I'm just going to rewrite this for myself. The wretched appearance rarely evokes sympathy. The Fomorians brought their doom upon themselves with the evil that rules their hearts and minds.
Okay. Oh, wow. Someone let an editor in here.
Wow. Look at you. Do we pay you to do that? Someone was paid to write this one.
My email, I think, is... No, it's not actually on the website. It's somewhere. You can email me there, fucking D&D.
Email me the money.
My business email is... Next, Fey Curse. The elves remember when the Fomorians were among the most handsome of races, possessed of brilliant minds and unrivaled magical ability. That physical perfection did not extend to their hearts. However, as a lust for magic...
I think that's like a... Did not extend to their hearts. However... It
didn't extend to their hearts, however.
Yes.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a comma before hearts. Sorry, after hearts. Also, sorry, Mikey, I know you're making a point.
You're good.
They literally just did comma, however, comma, and in the next fucking sentence they're doing comma, however, comma. Like you can't. Like my English teacher would shoot you if you.
I was gonna say my English teacher is very angry for no discernible reason to them right now.
Jesus, guys, I can't do this. I can't work with this. All right. The physical perfection did not extend to their hearts, however. As the lust for magic and power consumed them, the Fomorians sought to conquer the Feywild and enslave its inhabitants, claiming those creatures magic for themselves. Claiming those creatures magic for themselves. Guys, I can't fucking read this. I don't want to do this.
This is
claiming those creatures magic. Those creatures. Shouldn't it be creatures magics?
For those creatures magic. Oof. The Fomorians sought to conquer the Feywild and enslave its inhabitants, claiming those creatures magic for themselves. Claiming the creatures magic for them.
No, that was right.
That first one was good.
That was correct.
Claiming those creatures magic for themselves. When the Fey unite. When the
remember to breathe.
I feel like I'm in school now. Like
you're reading in front of the class.
Yeah, and I just go speeding through it. When the Fae united to defend their realm, the Fomorians fought them and were subjected to a terrible curse. One by one, the giants fell as their bodies were warped to reflect the evil in their hearts. Stripped of their grace and magical power, the wretched horrors fled from the light, delving deep beneath the world to nurse their hatred. I'm doing this very slow.
Fair.
Cursing their fate. They've ever after plotted vengeance against the Fae that wronged them.
Fucking hell! Who wrote this?
I'm not. You guys read that next.
All right, that's fair.
It's like they were trying to emulate the kind of
fairy book,
like flow of maybe somebody speaking like with an Irish kind of intonation, but this is fucking impenetrable.
It does feel like the start of a fantasy novel or something. It feels very like storybook, but. Oh God, I can't stand the however. That's just that's ridiculous.
Stuck in your head.
Unfortunately, this is a lot of our podcast, isn't it? It's just making fun of how this book is written.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fair. I mean, it's not like it's out of nothing. Every time we start to, we set up to record one of these, I go back and read all the previous ones. And they're all much more straightforward. Like, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, there's a reason I can easily study the history, and part of that is because all these books, for the most part, are reasonably straightforwardly written. Yeah. And I can just go, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like if I had to start in 5th edition, it would be much slower, because, like, it's so much stranger, and it's also really long.
Yeah.
It's like, there's always just... It feels like they had a word count.
It could very well have been it. They're just, like, filling it up. But also, they only had a limited amount of full stops that they could use.
Yeah.
But unlimited commas. Cursing their fate, comma. Yeah. They have ever plotted vengeance against the fate that wronged them. There's just so many. No, which is the sentence? Stripped of their grace and magical power, comma. The wretched horrors fled from the light, comma. Delving deep beneath the world to nurse their hatred.
You could have put in like more monsters in here. Like the old.
Oh, the old books. Yeah, we had like four creatures on one page.
Yeah,
that's it
per page. Yeah.
It's just like a paragraph, and then like maybe a bit of stats in there, and then you would have people going like, "Oh, the lore though. I need to know what this thing's about." But like,
feed me lore.
You can put another monster on this page, have half of that, and I'm mad, guys. I'm sorry.
I'll start reading the next one.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Yep. Giants of the Underdark. The Fomorians dwell in eerily beautiful caverns in the Underdark, rarely venturing to the surface. Their lairs feature abundant access to water, fish, and mushroom forests, as well as creatures whose slave labor keeps the Fomorians fed. Okay. When those slaves can no longer toil, they are slain and devoured. Wickedness and depravity are the cornerstones of Fomorian society, in which the strongest and cruelest giants rule. Fomorians mark their territories with corpses of their enemies, painting their cavern walls with blood, or stitching together limbs and body parts to make mockeries of the creatures they have killed. Blimey. We've mostly been complaining about how it's written, but this is like one of the most brutal descriptions of any monster that we've had so far. They like make effigies of the like discombobulated bodies of their enemies. They're pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I have to admit, I was just fixated on the fact that it says the Fomorians dwell in eerily beautiful caverns, and then at the end of the paragraph says their cavern walls. It's like, use a different word for cavern.
Yes, come on.
I know that's a stupid thing to get hung on. It's like literally the first thing my brain noticed is like they use cavern again. I can't turn it off, but
let's get out the thesaurus, guys, and look up the cavern. Hold on.
Cave. The cave wall.
Cave wall, and then you're not spending a whole extra syllable on Vern.
Who on earth would spend an entire syllable on Vern?
Exactly. No offense, Vern.
Cave, grotto, pothole.
Grotto's a good word.
Hole, subterrane.
Ooh.
Like an individual word as subterrane?
Yep.
Cool.
subterrane. That's a subterrane. And a subterranean area.
Under the earth, Fomorian.
There you go.
Very nice. I will continue. Ruined flesh, evil minds. The deformities visited on the Fomorians, oh Jesus, prevent them from hurling rocks like their giant kin, or wearing anything more than scraps of cloth. However, the grotesque positionings of their eyes, noses, and ears gives Fomorians keen perceptive abilities, making it hard to surprise or ambush them. The greed and evil of the Fomorians lies at the heart of their degeneration and fall, and continues to plague them. Fomorians make alliances with other creatures when it suits them, but they are disloyal by nature and betray their allies on a whim. Why would you ever form an alliance if that is what they do? It's got to be with like the bullywugs or something, who are just sweet little frog people who are just like,
oh no, the bullywugs aren't sweet. They're horrible.
They are horrible frogmen.
Horrible frogmen. You know, it's
famously, yeah.
Yeah. Guys, I'm really sorry about this. I'm really sorry. I promise this will be my last one. The deformities visited on the Fomorians. The deformities visited.
Yeah.
The deformities visit. Maybe I'm not as well read or something, but I hate that. That's just not.
The deformities visited on Fomorians that prevent them from hurling rocks. I mean, it's almost poetic, but it's like that weird uncanny valley of poetry that is like, oh, the deformities on the Fomorians, but it's just makes it uncomfortable to read.
I just want to let our listeners know I'm sorry, and I will stop being negative and complaining about the book here, guys. Maybe that's my last one. Back to positive, Mikey.
Positive, Mikey.
There's a similar paragraph in the first Monster Manual. They appear in Monster Manual 2, and it's just an interesting comparison because this feels like the language feels more straightforward. It reads, although their deformities prevent them from hurling rocks, these same handicaps aid them so that Fomorian giants can never be surprised under normal circumstances. Oddly placed eyes, huge ears, and or large noses enable them to detect any normal approach.
There you go.
There you go, yeah.
Copy paste.
Yeah.
It's similar reasoning, yeah, but it's just a bit more clear. And when it does use commas, it uses them because it's saying eyes, ears, noses. It's listing things, and that's the only time it uses them.
It's like for this, they were doing a reading comprehension of that version and were told that they weren't allowed to use the same sentence. Like they're trying not to plagiarize themselves.
I don't know. It's very strange, but I know what you mean. It feels, well, whatever.
Would you like to read the last one there, Dan, or shall I?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it just for a change.
Go on.
Curse of the Evil Eye. Fomorians can pass their curse onto others using a power called the Evil Eye, a last vestige of the giant's once remarkable spellcasting ability. A creature cursed by a Fomorian's evil eye is magically twisted and deformed, gaining a glimpse into the pain and malice that has consumed this evil race. You can't use evil that many times in a sentence.
Evil.
Pain, malice, evil. Yeah. I mean, when the subject is evil eye, then I'm just coming up with excuses for them at this point.
Dripping with
Yeah,
blood.
and also it's
Blood.
fine. You know,
yeah,
it's
whatever.
it's perfectly. Also, you know, I mean, first of all, it's whether or not it's legible is almost unimportant. The unusual reality of the new world of fifth edition books, which was kind of, you know, nailed in place over time. This page represents it, I suppose. There's a split down the middle, and on the left side there's rules, and on the right side there's words, and they don't matter. Like, yep. Whereas, like in that that first book, when I read you that paragraph that said they can't be surprised, like that's rules text. Even though it's in a normal English sentence, that is part of the monster's description. So the rules are: it says it can't be surprised by normal approaches. You cannot do that. So if the party want to surprise this monster, they need to come up with something unusual. Whereas in this case, it says, yeah, they can't be surprised easily, but there's no rule here. The rule is they have a high perception score, so it's harder to sneak up on them, which is also fine. It's another way to do the thing. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that like the wording has become more complex, but also less important.
Yeah, and less comprehensible, which is beside the point.
Yeah, and that's true actually. Yeah, because this is not rules text, it doesn't need to be straightforward.
Right.
You know, when this is rules text, you kind of have to say to someone like, all right, look, this is what's going on. You know, they can't be surprised because they have more eyes, ears, and noses than a normal person, so they have an easier time detecting you. Whereas when it's just fluff, you can kind of say it however you like.
Shall we go on to the next section? Get the show on the road.
I reckon we should.
Let's do it.
Play our theme. Play our song.
Play us out.
Fomorian, huge giant, chaotic evil, armor class 14, natural armor, hit points 149, speed 30, strength 23, dex 10, constitution 20, intelligence 9, wisdom 14, charisma 6. Standard monster there, 23 is a lot of strength, but it is huge. It is a giant, so it makes sense. Skills, perfection. 8. No.
They have perfected themselves.
It's the only monster with perfection. Skills, perception, +8, stealth, +3. So that's going with what you said, Dan, where they're surprisingly stealthy.
Yes.
And they have been surprisingly stealthy for, like, historically, I guess, of D&D. Senses, dark vision, 120 feet, passive perception, 18, languages, giant and undercommon, challenge rating, 8, and that's 3,900 experience points for you to spend on whatever you want.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to buy the rights to Toxic by Britney Spears. So that we
I
can
guess
use
I
it as
better
our
buy the
theme.
right to Hit Me Baby One More Time, or we're going to get in serious legal trouble. So
And I'm going to buy the rights to the cover of Getting Better by the Beatles that Smash Mouth did for the Cat in the Hat movie.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect it, but now that you've said it, it makes perfect sense, you know?
It does.
Look it up, guys. It happened. All right, I'm going to keep going. Any comment? We'll talk about it when we're done the entire block.
Yeah.
Multi-attack. The Fomorian attacks twice with its Great Club or makes one Great Club attack and uses Evil Eye once. Great Club, melee weapon, +9 to hit, reach 15 feet, one target, hit 19 or 3d8 +6 bludgeoning damage. Regular old Great Club there. Evil Eye. Here's some special stuff now. Evil Eye. The Fomorian magically forces a creature it can see within 60 feet of it to make a DC 14 charisma saving throw. The creature takes 27 or 6d8 psychic damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So it's just a psycho attack there.
Yes.
It's like a ranged psychic attack, really. That's kind of it. It's just damages, nothing too special there, but there's something else. Something else that I might do.
No.
What?
Curse of the Evil Eye.
No.
Recharges after a short or long rest, so you'll probably only be using this one once. So make sure you use it if you use it. If you use this guy, I mean. With a stare, the Fomorian uses Evil Eye, but on a failed save, the creature is also cursed with the magical deformities. While deformed, the creature has its speed halved and has disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attacks based on strength and dexterity. The transformed creature can repeat the saving throw whenever it finishes a long rest, ending the effect on a success.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, weirdly put together by relying on the evil eye description. But yeah, it makes sense. But also, that is pretty intense, because if you're going up against Fomorians, they live in like tribes, I think I saw. Like they live together in the Underdark. If every single Fomorian can do this, that's pretty brutal. Like if they get everybody with the curse, that's pretty intense.
We went up against a Fomorian once. Dan?
We did.
A while back. Your brother was DMing a game. We did it online, and it was a Fomorian. Forgot what kind of game it was. It could have been the side quest-a-thon, or it was just a game full of side quests.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
Or like the hook of the game was like you have to finish all these side quests, and that's a fun little hook to do. But anyway, this was one of them. Was fighting a Fomorian, and I remember somebody getting hit by that, and them kind of like being described that they're kind of getting deformed and they can't fight as well. But then you can kind of get rid of it like when you long rest, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember it kind of like it's when you get hit. Obviously, I think you can only hit one person if you're fighting one of these guys.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge rating 8, so it's kind of like, I'd say it'd be kind of a boss monster for not exactly level 8, but it's a good boss for a lower level party.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wouldn't put like a tribe or like a gang of Fomorians up unless you're like super high level. So you most likely you'd either be just for Fomorian by itself or Fomorian or a few goons or something.
Yeah, that's what I'd be thinking. Yeah.
I'd say you'd only get hit by that curse. Like one person will get hit by it.
Right.
If at all. So, but sorry, I'm kind of skipping ahead here. What do we think of the stat block other than that?
I think it's pretty. I mean, I noticed some inconsistencies for myself. Like they were given this deformity by the elves in this lore, but they were super smart. The deformity only happened to their bodies, and their hearts were evil, but they were considered to be very powerful magicians. Or not magicians.
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 Look at these card tricks.
It's like doing the thumb trick.
Yeah.
Takes a rabbit out of a hat.
They were very powerful spellcasters, but their intelligence was affected, apparently, because their intelligence is 9, which gives them a -1, and their wisdom is only +2. So it's like leaning into them just being just like big brutes, as opposed to like people who used to be intelligent but are now twisted physically. The Fey curse.
Oh yeah,
Possessed of brilliant minds and unrivaled magical ability.
there we go. It must be one of the curses or something that because they lost their intelligence,
Could be.
they're just not as good at it. Like
Maybe,
because
yeah.
it's a curse that I'd say for the Fey people. Having magical ability is like considered an honor, maybe, for anything, an honor, and kind of like they're powerful. But seeing as I curse you to be deformed and you can't use magic anymore, you're shite now. You're just shite Fomorians, and that's the curse. Like it's
Damn, you fucking got him. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah, I know. Sorry.
And then another point that I think I would have done with the Fomorian, which would have been maybe weird to do in like rules text, but I would probably have the curse of the evil eye be more progressive than like an instant thing. Like I'd have their speed halved, but they'd still be able to do their ability check, saving throws, and attacks. And then like per round, maybe I would have them gradually become more deformed, and like their last thing to be affected would maybe be their strength and dexterity attacks. Like they lose their speed, and then they lose ability checks, and then saving throws, and then attacks. At which point they have become this like twisted person, and they're having a hard time with it.
I get that, Tim. That sounds like a nightmare to me. Keeping just stuff to keep track of while DMing.
I agree.
But maybe something like exhaustion, but maybe not like all the way up to your death. But like you can go up to exhaustion. I don't know, 3 or something. But like, but something like that possibly. But yeah, just kind of keeping track of. You have to do ability checks now and like saving throws. But I like the idea of it progressively getting there. Maybe it's like after. You can honestly probably do like, but after like 2 turns, you like this happens really. So you can kind of start describing it like, oh yeah, you can feel like you
notice yourself hunching
over. You can kind of build it up like flavor wise, but mechanically. I don't know.
No, that does make more sense for the like progression, because you wouldn't like instantly lose half of your speed just because you're hunched over a little bit. So yeah, maybe like after a round or two, give them descriptions of what's happening to their body that is preventing them from having these abilities. Yeah, I like that better. That's better.
You explode.
You explode. I don't know how like the stat block can go like, take this round to describe how it's happening. Like it's just not. It doesn't work. D&D doesn't work like that. You know, where it's like, describe to your players that they are being hunched over now. So like it's just, they have to do it this way. So like yeah.
What about you, Dan?
I agree with Tim's point about that they don't seem to have any high stats. I would also say off the top of my head that if they were former spellcasters, I would assume that spellcasting was based on their charisma, because I believe other spellcasting giants, their innate spellcasting is based on charisma. So whether the idea is that the curse stripped them of that ability and therefore stripped them of their charisma, that's fine.
So now that they're not hot, they can't do spells.
Yeah, I am no longer sexy enough to do magic. It's a classic problem. The thing that I noticed more is the Curse of the Evil Eye does not care if you are a spellcaster, which is an interesting decision. Like, given that the Fey Curse explicitly stripped the Fomorians of their magic, punishes you by making you slow, it gives you disadvantage on ability checks, which you might use with some spells, saving throws, which are always bad, but then attacks, it specifically says attacks based on strength and dexterity, when any magic user that's going to have any kind of cantrip, it's going to be based on their spellcasting ability, which is almost, which in fact is never strength or dexterity. So explicitly, if you are a spellcaster, you can still attack as well, even when you are cursed.
And also the Fomorians themselves are not that weak. They're like they're strong, and they can do strength attacks. So it's weird that the same kind of curse would is good for them but hinders you, I guess. But
strange.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how powerful they were before they were cursed. Like, were they much more strong? Were they like strength 30, dex 20 kind of thing?
Talking power levels now.
It's over 9,000.
Finally. Real games always boils down to power levels.
Yes. But yeah, no, absolutely. Maybe there could have been something there where if you wanted to go with the angle of cursing spellcasters, you can probably have the restriction of it like only working on spellcasters, get rid of the strength and dexterity and do something else there, maybe their spellcasting modifier, and then say only works on spellcasting classes, or I don't know, you can probably word it better, but you can give them a bit more recharges. You know, you can do like a 2 recharge possibly, you know. You can kind of swap it around there just to kind of make it more thematic, but it depends on, is this the Fey curse? This is the Curse of the Evil Eye, so it's a completely different curse, I think, but it kind of sounds like it's the Fey curse.
Maybe because they were magical, like very powerful spellcasters, they were able to like manipulate the magic that has been cast on them so that they can cast it towards other people. I don't know. I'm just trying to like lore it in my own brain to make sense of it.
That's all right. Lore it away, Tim.
Yeah,
I will.
Lore it away.
I'll just lore all the explanations away.
Is there any lore in this game?
No.
Okay.
So I think that's a very small thing. I think if you wanted to get complicated, you could take Tim's idea of having the curse be progressive and combine that with the curse caring about spell casting, and effectively have a curse that progresses whenever you cast spells, to reflect the notion that you are becoming more dependent on magic and supremacy via magic, like the Fomorians before they fell.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like it initially like bends your body, but then it eventually bends your magical ability too. Cool.
Yeah, something like that. Just a thought. Or just, that again, that would be complicated. You could have like a little table that you give to your player. It's like, welcome to the curse table. Have a seat.
1d4 days later, you can't cast spells.
And then 1d6 minutes later, you die. Let's see what happens.
You have to make a new character, or you get to?
No. Just don't come
All
back.
right, guys.
Just leave my party.
We just play Catan next week, guys? Or...
Can we just play sketch heads or something? Just want a break.
Does anybody have any wheat?
You said anything would have any weed.
420.
420. Let's go on to the next part.
All right. Let's go to Dessert Town. A ting-a-ling.
Do you want me to do it?
Go on.
Ding-a-ling. There it is.
There it is. I have the sound, but I also have. That's me.
Incredible.
So I have the three of us on a soundboard here. Right, so I didn't really find much in terms of people talking about the Fomorians online. Lots of nice miniatures being painted.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all great. So whoever painted a Fomorian miniature and put it online, it looks great, guys. I just mentioned, I kind of mentioned the only real things that I saw earlier on, where I said that they were just like hulking, like, you know, dumb giants, and then 4th edition kind of made them into a bit of a civilization. And I think now it's back to dumb giants, and I think some people are just like, how come they're dumb giants again? And some people kind of missed the 4E versions of them there. But for the most part, yeah, it seems like they're just more giants, really. And by reading this, and there's few differences there. There's a bit of a different lore to it, but whenever I see this guy personally, he just kind of seems like another giant, another kind of big kind of troll-like figure that you can fight, you know?
Yeah, I totally see that, and I actually agree. And I think, Tim, the point you made about how, you know, they have been given reduced intelligence and charisma is probably actually something that undermines that. If they were an intelligent species that had this like personal vendetta against the Fae and like pursued their own aims but were tied to the giants, they might actually be more interesting. But because they're deliberately built as big dumb brutes, it's like, well, yeah, they are the same as a troll or even just a hill giant or whatever. You know, they're just a big thing with a club.
Yeah.
The only difference is that instead of throwing a rock, it throws its evil eye at you.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's just like, you know, what's this one? Oh, it's an ugly giant. And then, like, you know, it says like a troll. Like, no, it's like, well, trolls are kind of sorry, trolls, but trolls are kind of ugly as well. All right, like,
no, it's just like, no, you know.
No. Can I cast spells? No.
You think spells are for wimps?
So yeah, I think actually a fun thing to do then, to change it around, to creature club it up. Let's go with Tim's idea there. You know, Tim's like where you're going with it, and let's give it some spells. You want to give it some spells?
Ooh, okay.
What kind of spells would be good for Fomorian? You know, what kind of spells can we put in there? Off the top of your head, if you don't know any, it's all right. If you don't know the spells off the top of your head, I don't know the spells.
So because the Fomorians classically were either from the water or from the earth, I could imagine them having some kind of elemental control abilities, like control water, or like be able to cause some kind of torrent of water magically, or do some like earth-shaped stuff. Might be cool. Or like Earth Stride would be another one that they might be able to use pretty effectively. So something along those lines, probably.
Shillelagh.
Shillelagh, yeah.
Because it's Irish.
Because it's Irish, yeah.
Yeah.
They can turn their clubs into slightly more powerful clubs.
Yeah, that'd probably work, yeah.
My club is now magic. Does that make any difference? No.
Not really.
It's magic.
Maybe we can give them like Pass Without a Trace or some of the stealthy stuff.
Yeah, actually, darkness, something like that, maybe.
Oh yeah,
because they're kind of in the dark.
Yeah.
They're in the Underdark and stuff. Maybe something like a darkness-like spell,
or like minor illusion, so that they can make themselves look like a rock.
Yeah,
would that be major illusion or minor illusion? That was a minor illusion. You can
like the Rock or
Rock. Oh my God, it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson. That's right, everybody.
What are you doing here in the Underdark?
Just came by to say good luck on your adventure.
And then bangs the rock, and then you walk away, and then he hits you in the back of the head because he's a Fomorian. Like,
yeah, he bonks you. You turn around like, you were so beautiful a second ago. And then you see a single tear fall from the Fomorian's eye because they used to be beautiful like the Rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They all just used to look like the Rock. That's it.
That's Fomorians. They were all the Rock. And now they are of the Rock and of the sea.
Yes.
Will there ever be a wrestler called the Sea, you think?
Like,
I don't know why.
Do you mean like as in the C SEA or the C, just the letter C?
Well, either, I suppose.
Because I think it's more likely that we get one called just the C. and C stands for, I don't know,
some terrible
crusher. I guess.
Ooh, crusher.
Why isn't he called the Crusher then?
The crusher's already taken, and so they're like, you're just the C.
You're just the C.
Or
The
it's like,
C.
or no, actually, this is better. It's like a mysterious Racer X thing, where it's like, who is the mysterious C, and then it turns out it's Crusher. He's back from the dead,
my
like
gosh.
the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay, so some ideas for Fomorians in our games, in our settings. Any adventures, any campaigns, any just encounter ideas we can do with this guy so we can tell the folks at home?
One of them in a very small elevator who's trying to hit one of the buttons, and the party have to stop him.
I like that a lot.
He's trying to he's like, I need to get to the third floor. That's where my room is. And the party are like, we won't let you.
He just wants to go home.
That's actually, it's very rude. Yeah, it's very rude.
It was very strange that they were in an elevator at all. Were they trying to go to the basement, third floor, or?
That's not important. There's no lore.
All right, if we're gonna be a little bit silly here, here's a bit of here's a outside the box quest line for Fomorian. All right, he wants to become handsome again.
Okay,
the Fomorian. So you and your friends have to help him become handsome again.
Or as the diplomatic version, you can help him to understand that he's beautiful just the way he is.
Yeah, you can just do Shrek.
You can just do Shrek, yeah. Give him a potion.
You can't do Shrek unless the party collectively plays a single Fomorian given a quest by a king. Save a princess who turns out to also be a Fomorian. You're not doing Shrek.
I think we could do Shrek. Okay, we'll do Shrek 2. We'll do Shrek 2.
I think we can do Shrek. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I know Dan is against it, but I think we're okay doing Shrek.
I'm gonna veto Dan and his veto.
Damn. Okay, I got
all in favor for doing Shrek.
He used the one veto on me, so I guess I am.
Okay.
I'm crying.
You can't just do Shrek.
Can't just do Shrek. We'll do Shrek 2. We'll do Shrek 2, where he drinks a potion and becomes a handsome boy, but then recognizes that he had to be beautiful on the inside or something. I don't remember that movie very well.
There's the great bit where it's where they're like, I need a hero, and it's very good. That bit's
oh yeah, and there's the giant gingerbread man, but they hit his gumdrop button and he gets furious.
Can we please save this podcast?
I mean,
this is a chaotic one.
Fine. Okay, he asked nicely.
He did.
I'm going to say yes.
He said
okay, so Fomorians.
Yes.
So the most immediate thing that leaps off to me is it describes how they take slaves. So I think that's your lead in. People in a village, people in a town, people in a farm are going missing. We don't know where they're going. They're vanishing. Apparently, the Fomorians eat them, so there'd be no remains, there'd be no recovery. So the party are told, look, a bunch of people have gone missing over the last 3 months, and we don't know what's going on. The party, follow the trail. They delve into the caverns below, and they find the Fomorians in their eerily beautiful caverns. Which is where they dwell, apparently. There, you have to try to balance freeing the slaves, maybe trying to kill the Fomorians so that they stop taking more slaves, and then they have mushroom forests. So I'm immediately thinking you kind of get this plot line where you go to the mushroom forest and there's mushroom folk, and you're like, we need your help, and the mushroom folk are like, yeah man, we'll fight with you because we also don't like Fomorians. So you've got this kind of budding alliance, or maybe even the party are themselves captured by Fomorians. So they started at a lower level and they build up this resistance movement in and amongst the caverns of the Underdark, eventually, overthrowing their masters and getting everyone home.
Quick aside, I don't like mushrooms. Can we change to onion folk?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes.
You're not going to like next month's episode, Mikey. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. All right. But continue, Dan.
So I think that to me leaps off. In terms of what they're doing, it says that the slave labor keeps the Fomorians fed, which I don't really understand because apparently there's mushroom forests. So I'm going to assume that it's a little more complicated than that. I'm going to assume that the Fomorians basically keep them to do lots of different tasks, and perhaps even with the goal of capturing specialized people who can do things like smith, or who have their own magical abilities that they can that the Fomorians can use. I think I don't really understand why it says they're fed.
Maybe they're just very picky eaters, and they need a bunch of chefs to cook up the mushrooms. To really make it like a risotto, like a rice and mushroom soup kind of thing. Or sorry, we'll go for onions, rice and onion soup. There we go, Mike.
Thank you. Risotto isn't soup.
I mean, that's a quick way to make risotto. You can just boil some rice and then heat up some soup and then just add them together. And
Italians in the chat.
Oh yeah, they're coming for me now.
They're coming at the idea of a quick risotto. You've offended them.
I definitely have. For our enormous Italian audience, I apologize profusely immediately on podcast, preempting.
They can't do anything now.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. So they take slaves. That's how you find them. The Fomorians are taking slaves to do a bunch of different random menial tasks. Yeah, I want to say, I guess it's just a manpower question. They can just do more with slaves. I guess they're trying to do something to the forest to get back at the Fae. I'm trying to think of something that is unique to them. Maybe they're just trying to dig out the whole forest underneath it and make it collapse. And maybe they're trying to, maybe these mushroom forests or onion forests, or maybe mushroom because we're going to make them bad. Maybe these mushroom forests, they're breeding some kind of equivalent of a bioweapon to eat through the forests above. And so that's ultimately their plan, is to actually unleash this sort of a weird fungal virus that's going to tear through the forest. And it's all very strange because to the people being captured, they're not sure what's going on. And this is sort of a plan a long time in the making. And maybe the normal Fomorians who are based on this snap block we have here, even they don't quite understand, but there's a mastermind of some kind, an equivalent to Balor, like a kind of a master he's managed to retain or regain more of his intelligence and more of his abilities, and he's kind of the final bastion.
I like the flavor that the slaves they take, where they take really hot people and then they use the curse on them because they're jealous of their looks because they used to be hot.
Like that.
There you go.
There's a couple of jumping on points for that kind of quest line. You could be amongst the first to be captured, or there could have been some people that have been captured and you're going to rescue them, or it's gotten to the point where the Fomorians are already infecting the forest with this fungal virus. There's a couple of different points there that you could just kind of get it started. You could plant the seeds for it early on in a campaign, and then if it's ignored, you can just develop it on to a later step in the campaign and say, oh, you remember those people who were going missing because there was some suspected Fomorian activity in the area? Well, you done goofed. So yeah, and then I mean, it's definitely part and parcel with this podcast, but we are collaborating with our audience. So just take one part or all parts of everything that we say, and it's just great. I just love our podcast. We're great. I love this. This is great. I love you guys.
I don't know if I love this episode, but I've had a great time.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, it's not a great one. A quick new segment right now. Not a new segment, an old segment, but a new part for an old segment. Monster Hunter by Monster. Very quick. Take its eye, put it on top of a staff. You got a staff with a recharge ability. You can curse people, make them ugly. And for some reason, I'm thinking using a bunch of those eyes and making a powerful version of it to make a bunch of people ugly.
I'd imagine they have iconic warts all around them, so maybe you can have Fomorian warts as an ingredient in some greater spell.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
That you're trying to do to seal some greater power or something.
A reagent,
like a poison. Yeah, put it into a poison of some sort, and if you're poisoning people. Not a whole lot of poisoning going on in D&D.
Not a lot, but
you play heroic characters.
There's always opportunity for poisonings, though.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Leave some sprinkle opportunities to poison your players, or for your players to poison.
I was just reminded there where you talked about monster hunting, Mikey, that I actually because one of the inspirations for Scaros, our shared setting, was Celtic myth, I went back and I actually used the idea. And so one of the legendary artifacts that I came up with is called the Curse King's Eye, which is the eye of the it's the eye of the king of the Fomorians. So basically the eye of Balor.
Or Bran.
I didn't know that.
He sorry, if you want a little bit more history, Bran was part Fomorian, but he ruled over the Tuatha Dé Danann for a couple of years, and he was a bad dude, basically. He was like the bad king. Like Mordred in our Arthurian myth, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. But one of the things I did with it was that it's the literal withered eye of the king of the Fomorians. Dope. And if you want to attune to it, you have to replace your own eye. Ooh. So you have to pull one of the eyes out of your head to install it. But then once you do, it basically grants you access to a bunch of like powerful various necromancy spells.
Sweet. Ooh. The destructive eyes of the Fomorians.
And then there's a final detail, which is that if you speak a giant's name as an additional verbal component while casting a spell with this item, that giant has disadvantage on the saving throw.
Nice.
To reflect the sort of the enmity between the Fomorians and the giants.
Yeah. Shall we put an end to this podcast? Or will this be the eternal podcast, the one where we finally keep going forever?
Let's just open up. Let's just open up Sketchheads again there and see.
I gotta be somewhere later.
Yeah, Mikey has plans, and so do I.
I gotta go. I gotta leave in 20 minutes.
Oh no!
No, I don't. Going out later though.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we are done. I think we've had a chaotic time.
We have, but
we've misbehaved thoroughly.
Hopefully, Tim edits the podcast to make me not be as grumpy as I am.
No. I think you're judging yourself a little harsh. You're not coming across as terribly grumpy. But I have something that will absolutely brighten your day, Mikey, because there have been a couple of reviews, and there's one in particular that I really, really want to read. I'm going to read two on this podcast.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
where are you reading these reviews? Well, I'll wait till I'll let you read them first, and then.
So they're both from Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. The first one is a 5-star review from A. Kirka on the 26th of October, 2021. So thank you very much, A. Kirka. It is titled "Perfect for a DM." Very fun, chill, conversational podcast about creatures in D&D, filled with wonderful insights and fun perspectives. So thank you so much. That's a very straightforward, very pleasant review. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope that it doesn't get updated following this episode, but yeah.
I think the next episode's just like, I retract the last review.
And that is shining and delightful, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
But the next review that we got is amazing.
Oh.
I love it so much.
All right.
It is a 5-star review by Sam Rickwell.
Thank you very much.
It was posted on the 3rd of December, 2021. And, okay, I'll try to get through this without completely messing anything up. It is titled, "A Fantastic Podcast That Tickles My Fancy. 10 out of 10 Macrons for this wonderful podcast," with a capital C. One might say the best podcast out there right now. Wonderfully creative and engaging, and always a ton of fun to listen. So very kind.
Yes.
45 out of 75 stars for sure. The only problem I'd have is that for a podcast about Dungeons and Dragons, they don't talk about dragons enough. They had maybe one or two episodes about them, if I remember correctly, but that's just not enough. Altogether a great show, but I'd urge them to do more episodes about dragons if they want to keep me listening. 73 out of 100 emeralds. Would recommend.
That's a lot of emeralds.
That's a lot
of
emeralds.
I'm very pleased with that number of emeralds, you know.
Yeah, I'm taking those emeralds. I'm going to trade them with the villagers in in Minecraft. It's a Minecraft reference, guys. All right, it's a game. It's a little video game that people play. All right.
So we got 10 out of 10 on the Macron scale. We got 45 out of 75 on the star scale.
On the star scale, yeah.
73 out of 100 on emeralds, which
73
I
out of
think
100 on emerald, which is
honestly,
very. It's very generous. I know the
praise.
Russian judge only gave us a 43 on the emerald, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Creature Club. 1000 points.
So thank you so much, Sam Rockwell, for that.
Thank you very much, Sam Rockwell.
Since I read it, I think I actually read it before the last time we recorded. I was just so excited to be able to read it. It was so good. I loved it so much.
You guys want to do another dragon episode?
No.
We did one. We did. Okay, that's fine. All right. Jeez, sorry. Wow.
But yes, you can leave us a review on iPad, on iTunes, on the Apple Podcasts, or you can leave us a rating on Spotify now. I don't know if you can do reviews.
I left a rating, and I hope other people have as well.
So
it might look sad.
Is that
It might look sad.
I haven't done that.
Yeah, it does too. I leave ratings for things I've done all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah! All right.
But yeah,
you gotta bump those numbers up, man. You gotta the hustle,
The grind set.
the grind set, man. Sigma males. The three of us are Sigma males. Okay, all right. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up, guys.
do it.
Okay, I'll do it then, I guess. Sorry. Creature Club Podcast is a podcast brought to you by the three of us. And we have a website, creatureclubpodcast.com, where you can go on there, see all the episodes. There's a little contact us section where you can send us in questions, queries, or even homebrews that you would like to see in a future homebrew special. If you already sent us one before, then you can send us some again, because it's been a while, and you might want to just remind us that you want to be on the special. And if you can either do it there on the website or at creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com. That's creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com. We're all over the place as well. We're on twitter.com @creatureclubpod or just Creature Club Podcast if you look us up. Send us your questions, complaints, whatever you want to say to us. We're there and we're reading it all whenever we want to go on twitter.com, because it's I don't know about you guys, it's a bad website. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yes.
But we're on it though, because it's you guys can message us if you want to.
It's sometimes very funny is the thing. So
That's true. There's memes on there.
Memes galore.
Am I missing something else?
I don't think so.
no.
Cool. Right. Well, thank you so much for listening, guys. The next episode will be better. I've been Mikey.
I've been Tim.
And I've been done.
Stay cool.
Will it though? Will it be better?
I mean, I'm not actually, I'm not completely opposed to another episode on dragons. I don't know what we'd have to say.
Yeah. If somebody sends us a dragon homebrew, like the other one we got, what was it called? The
Dragon.
Yes, the dragon.
The dragon.
Trying desperately to.
They're all just they're all like red dragon, blue dragon,
Red
but like we just want one that's just a dragon. That's it. I just want a regular dragon.
Nondescript dragon.
Nondescript dragon, please. All right.
I'm just going to, before we start recording, set myself up for success, as they say in the grind set business. Just going to get a piece of paper in front of me so that if I have any faults, I can write them down.
Mm-hmm.
I only have post-it notes and no pen.
You'll have to use your own blood.
Oh. Bob, use a pen.
Hello and welcome to Creature Club. It's a monthly podcast all about the dungeons. Oh, I've beansed it in the first sentence.
What's our
Boys, I can't handle the stress. Someone's going to have to take over.
Do you even know what this podcast's about? I told you we should have fired Dan when he was late.
I swear I can do better. You just got to give me another chance.
Right, take two.
All right. You can't beat me with the beep. That's not fair. You know I love that beep.
It's great.
Oh,
Shall
right,
we
boys.
move on? Oh,
No.
after you, Mikey.
All right. I'm going to say pretty much the same thing as Tim said there, but
do you think if the three of us had a song, would it be one of the themes, or do you think we have a different song?
For each of us, or like for the podcast?
As a gang, as a three-man gang.
I like our Creature Club theme, the one that I wrote, the orchestral one. But the early one, the first one we had, definitely feels closer to what would actually be a theme for us.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Mikey, any thoughts?
we each get themes for like ourselves, or is this for Creature Club?
One for the three of us.
For the three of us as a group, a single song.
A single song for the three of us as a group.
Yeah.
What song would it be?
Yeah.
Or what? Or like an already made song that's out. Or,
If you like, yeah.
a song that
Britney Spears is Toxic.
Now, I actually do love Britney Spears' Toxic. That's actually a really good.
I think
I quite like that.
Britney Spears, "Gimme More." That's what I would say.
Okay.
Very good.
I'll go for Britney Spears' "Hit Me Baby One More Time" just to keep us in theme.
Yes.
Okay,
There
cool.
we go.
There we go. So
Perfect.
Chat. There's no chat. You guys. So I'm in streamer mode now. You guys decide.
That's like that's your version of me going next week. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
All right, chat. Let's get this. Let's go.
Let's go, gamers. Gamers rise up. Yeah, you guys decide which one you want for our theme to be. All right, let's get going. I'm going to read it out now. Okay.
Go on.
This much better reading this one. Fomorian.